The quiet collapse after awakenings, somewhere along your journey of awakening. Maybe after a deep spiritual insight, or maybe after everything in your life just seemed to fall apart, something shifted. You saw through the illusion. You noticed the patterns, the constant noise of life. And then came silence. At first, that silence felt powerful. It was freeing, like you had finally broken out of a lifelong trance. But slowly, something strange began to happen. The sense of meaning that used to drive you just vanished. Not all at once, not dramatically, more like your soul slowly turned down the volume on life and forgot to turn it back up again. You stopped chasing. You stopped caring. Not in a careless or reckless way, but in that quiet, existential sigh kind of way. You started asking yourself, why do I feel so numb now that I finally see the truth? It's a strange paradox, isn't it? We expect spiritual awakening to light us up, to fill us with peace and purpose. But for many people, especially deep thinkers, empaths and seekers, it does the opposite. It empties us. I remember a friend who went through this exact thing. She was bright, spiritual, and had read all the books, Eckhart Tolle, Alan Watts, Krishnamurti. She went through her own dark night of the soul and had what she called a massive awakening. She told me she saw through everything, the illusion of identity, the chase for external success, all of it. And yet, just a few months later, she could barely get out of bed. She told me, I used to cry about not achieving enough. Now I don't care whether I do anything at all. I thought awakening would light me up, not leave me feeling like this. Carl Jung, the father of analytical psychology, understood this long before it became a common topic in spirituality. He didn't use trendy terms like awakening, but he knew what happens when the unconscious becomes conscious. Jung said, enlightenment doesn't come by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. It sounds beautiful, but if you've ever experienced it, you know what it really means. Awakening isn't the end. It's the beginning of a psychological death, the death of who you thought you were. All the structures that used to give your life meaning, your goals, your ambitions, your roles, even your sense of time, start to collapse. And here's the tricky part. Your ego doesn't disappear. It just gets confused. It loses its map. And without that map, motivation fades. Not because you're lazy or broken, but because your old way of being simply doesn't make sense anymore. You're in limbo, awake from something, but not yet awakened to something else. But here's where things get really interesting. What you're feeling right now, that emptiness, that fog, it isn't failure. It isn't depression in the clinical sense. It's something much older and more sacred. Jung warned that our modern world avoids this phase at all costs. The sacred pause. This in-between, the psychological and spiritual void. Yet he believed it was essential for true transformation, for what he called individuation, the process of becoming your most authentic, integrated self. The problem is, no one tells you about this part. No one tells you that awakening can feel like falling apart, like losing direction, like floating in a strange in-between where nothing makes sense anymore. But that's exactly what's happening. Your psyche is reorganizing itself from the inside out. So when your old motivations fall away, when your spark seems to vanish, it's not a mistake. It's a sign that the old system is collapsing, so something truer can take its place. If you've been floating in that post-awakening fog, wondering why nothing excites you anymore, know this, you're not crazy. You're evolving. You're going through a psychological shift so deep, most people can't even name it. You're not losing motivation. You're being reprogrammed. All the things that used to drive you, achievements, validation, proving yourself, no longer fit. That's not failure. That's growth. Jung saw this coming decades ago. He knew that the ego's drive for success and recognition is a temporary stage, one that eventually gives way to something deeper. For most of your life, your motivation came from your ego identity, from that inner voice that says, I need to prove myself. I need to be seen. I need to succeed. That's what Jung called the persona, the mask we wear to survive and belong in society. But awakening strips that mask away. Suddenly, you're not trying to impress anyone. You're not trying to win the game because you can see the game. And that's when it gets disorienting. Without the mask, your old goals don't fit anymore. They were tailored for a version of you that doesn't exist now. So you feel like a character who stepped off stage mid-play and can't remember their lines. That's why you feel unmotivated, because you didn't lose your drive. You outgrew the fuel that powered it. Jung believed we aren't meant to serve the ego, we're meant to integrate it, to align it with something greater, something eternal. He called this process individuation, the transformation from a fragmented self into a unified one. Not the small self that seeks approval, but the deeper self, the soul that connects to everything. And that self doesn't care about status, validation, or control. It cares about truth, about alignment, about becoming whole. When awakening happens, your psyche starts rejecting everything that's fake, forced, or ego-driven. Jobs, relationships, ambitions, even dreams you once loved. It's not because those things were bad. It's because they no longer resonate with your new level of awareness. And that's why this phase feels so empty. Because your soul is clearing space. It's not that your spark is gone. It's that your fire is changing fuel. You're being rebuilt from the inside out. And for a while, it feels like nothing is happening. But this stillness, this pause, this void, it's not a breakdown. It's a sacred recalibration. Jung would tell you, don't rush it. Don't fill the silence. Don't try to fix what isn't broken. Because this in-between is not the end of your awakening. It's the passage to your real beginning. The sacred void and the ego's confusion. When most people talk about awakening, they imagine light, peace, or some divine rush of clarity. But what Jung tried to explain, and what so many people experience but can't describe, is that true awakening begins in confusion. You see through everything that used to define you. And yet, you're left standing in this vast inner silence, wondering what's next. It's like life used to have subtitles, and now they're gone. You understand the big picture, but you can't seem to function in the small details anymore. You don't know what you're supposed to want. Jung said that once the unconscious becomes conscious, there's a kind of psychological death that follows. It's not a punishment, it's a reset. All the systems that used to keep you running, goals, structure, identity, meaning, dissolve. But your ego? It doesn't just vanish. It's still there, trying to find footing in this new landscape. It's scared, lost, and uncertain. It keeps whispering, what now? What do I do? Who am I supposed to be? That's why this phase feels like limbo. You're no longer asleep, but you're not fully awake in the new reality either. You've stepped out of the dream, but you haven't learned how to live without it. And here's the truth Jung wanted people to understand. This phase is sacred. It's not depression, not failure, not regression. It's the psyche rebuilding its inner foundation. He warned that the modern world runs from this stage. We treat silence as laziness, rest as waste, and introspection as a problem to fix. But this quiet void, this nothingness, is exactly where transformation begins. When your old motivations collapse, your soul is clearing space for something more authentic to emerge. Think of it like the forest after a wildfire. Everything looks destroyed, but underneath the ashes, the soil is richer than ever. That's what's happening inside you. This period is what Jung called enantiodromia, the process where things swing into their opposite. When you awaken, your inner pendulum moves from striving to stillness, from doing to being, from I must control to I must surrender. At first, it feels like losing your spark, but it's actually the pendulum finding balance after years of swinging too far into ego-driven effort. You're not burned out. You're being balanced. Ancient traditions understood this phase well. They called it the hermit's path, the desert season, the dark night of the soul. It's the part where the caterpillar turns to liquid inside the cocoon, no longer what it was, not yet what it will become. And yes, that stage doesn't look glamorous. You don't feel productive. You don't look inspired. You're not posting wisdom quotes or manifesting abundance. You're just dissolving. But that's how rebirth works. You can't carry your old self into the new life you're building. The ego, of course, panics. It tries to rush the process. It wants answers, direction, and control. It wants to do something. But the deeper self, the one Jung called the self with a capital S, whispers, "Let go. I'm building something new." This is where most modern spirituality takes a wrong turn. It teaches people to skip the darkness, to focus on high vibes only, to manifest the next chapter without facing the current one. But Jung would say that if you skip the darkness, you skip the gold. The treasures of your soul live in the shadows, in the uncomfortable, uncertain places you've been avoiding. That's why this emptiness feels so heavy. Because your unconscious is finally rising to the surface. All the emotions, fears, and forgotten dreams you pushed down are surfacing, asking to be seen. You're not broken. You're integrating. Your psyche is intelligent, more intelligent than your conscious mind can imagine. It knows when you're ready to face the truth, and it knows how to slow you down so you finally have to feel it. That's why your motivation vanishes. It's your soul's way of forcing stillness, because in stillness, the truth finally has space to breathe. So if you're in this phase right now, if you wake up and wonder why you can't get yourself to care like you used to, it's not because you failed your awakening. It's because your old identity has done its job. It brought you here. It carried you through survival, ambition, and proving yourself. But it can't take you further. You're being called into a new way of living, not from the head, but from the soul. Jung said this stage is when the self begins to rebuild the psyche. But the rebuilding doesn't look like construction. It looks like quiet surrender. You stop forcing. You start allowing. And that's terrifying for the ego, but liberating for the soul. As you stay with this stillness, something subtle begins to shift. You start to notice that even in the void, there's life. It's faint at first. A small curiosity, a quiet pull, a sense of peace that doesn't depend on your circumstances. This is your deeper motivation beginning to return. Not as adrenaline or urgency, but as alignment. It's what Jung called the emergence of the self. And this self doesn't push. It moves naturally. It doesn't chase meaning, it embodies it. You stop asking, "What should I do?" and start feeling into what feels true. You begin to realize that motivation isn't something you generate. It's something that arises when you're connected to your inner truth. So, this stage, the sacred pause, the nothingness, it's not a setback. It's the sacred womb of your becoming. It's not a breakdown. It's a metamorphosis. And though you can't see it yet, this quiet in-between is preparing you for a new kind of life, one that doesn't run on pressure, fear, or performance, but on peace, presence, and authenticity. The rebirth of meaning and soul-led motivation when you stop resisting the void, when you stop trying to escape that deep silence. Something unexpected begins to happen. You start to sense a quiet movement within you. Not the old kind of motivation, not the get up and grind energy that came from fear or proving yourself. This one feels ancient, steady, and strangely gentle. It's not the fire of ambition. It's the warmth of alignment. You begin to notice little sparks of curiosity, moments of resonance, a song that moves you, a book that calls you, an idea that won't leave you alone. These are not random. They're signals from the deeper self. Carl Jung called this the symbolic life. He believed that once the ego surrenders and the unconscious is integrated, we begin to live from a place beyond logic, from a kind of intuitive intelligence that guides us through symbols. dreams, synchronicities, and inner knowing. That's when life stops being about survival or performance and starts becoming about meaning. And the beautiful thing is, it's not usually dramatic. It's subtle, grounded, even ordinary. The world doesn't suddenly change color, but you start to feel more alive in small moments. Washing dishes feels peaceful. Sitting in silence feels full. A walk outside feels like a conversation with something sacred. When you live from the self, you don't hustle. You respond. You're no longer driven by fear of missing out or by the endless pressure to be productive. Instead, you move from a quiet sense of inner yes. You don't chase clarity. You recognize it when it arrives. And that changes everything. You start creating again, but this time, you're not performing. You're expressing. You might write, paint, teach, build, or simply love, not because you have to, but because something inside you wants to come through. This is what Jung meant by individuation, the process of becoming who you truly are, not who the world told you to be. It's not about rejecting the ego. It's about transforming it, aligning it with your deeper self. The ego becomes a vessel, a tool for expression, instead of the ruler of your life. That's why your motivation feels different now. It's not frantic or pressured. It's calm and grounded. It doesn't shout, it whispers. And when you follow those whispers, you realize they lead you toward exactly what you're meant to do, but from a place of peace, not performance. You start asking different questions. Instead of, what should I do? You ask, what feels honest? Instead of, how can I prove myself? You ask, what calls to me? Instead of, what's the plan? You ask, where is life nudging me? You begin to see that life is not something to be conquered. It's something to collaborate with. This doesn't mean you'll always feel inspired or clear. Some days you'll still feel tired, uncertain, or lost. That's part of being human. But even in those moments, you won't feel like you're betraying yourself, because now you're living from truth. You might still experience waves of grief, mourning the person you used to be, or the dreams that no longer fit. That's okay. Every rebirth comes with letting go. But beneath that grief, there's peace, the kind that doesn't depend on circumstances. And that's the new fuel. Not adrenaline, not external validation, alignment. It's sustainable because it doesn't burn you out. It nourishes you. Jung said that once the self becomes conscious, life begins to express itself through you, not as something you control, but as something you allow. That's why your new motivation feels softer but deeper. It doesn't pull from the surface. It rises from the soul. So, what does this look like in real life? It might look like saying no to something that doesn't resonate, even if it looks good on paper. It might look like creating something, even if no one's watching. It might look like finally resting, because rest itself becomes meaningful. It might look like choosing peace over performance. You begin to notice that everything is connected: your emotions, your body, your intuition, your outer life. It all starts working in harmony, like different notes of the same song. That's living symbolically. That's living soulfully. And the paradox is, when you stop chasing outcomes and start following authenticity, life tends to align around you in ways you couldn't have planned. Opportunities, people, and ideas begin to flow toward you, not because you're forcing them, but because you're resonating with them. You've moved from ambition to devotion, from seeking to expressing, from proving to being. And that's the true awakening, not a constant high, but a grounded presence. So if you've been feeling like your spark is gone, maybe it's not gone at all. Maybe it's transforming. Maybe the old fire that once drove you had to burn down so you could find a flame that doesn't flicker when the winds of life blow. Carl Jung never promised the path would be easy, but he did promise it would be real. And if you're still here, listening, feeling, reflecting, that means you're already on that path. This isn't the end of your awakening. It's the beginning of your becoming. If this message resonates with you, if it helped you put words to something you've been quietly experiencing, share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear your story, your insights, your reflections. And if you want to keep exploring the deeper layers of psychology, spirituality, and soul in a grounded way, subscribe to Fractal Wisdom, because awakening isn't the end of your story. It's where your real story finally begins.